I miss my mother every day. Some people lose a parent and slowly move on. I never could. No matter how many years passed, a part of me remained stuck in the past. My name is Emily. This is the story of the last gift my mother gave me, a gift that changed my life forever. My mother was my best friend. She was kind, she was patient, and she always knew how to make me smile. When I was 8 years old, my father left us. He packed his bags one morning and never came back. From that day on, my mother became both my mother and my father. She worked 2 jobs. She came home tired every night. Yet she still helped me with homework. She still listened to my problems. She still kissed my forehead before bed. Looking back now, I have no idea how she did it. Years passed. I graduated from college. I found a good job. Life finally seemed stable. Then one afternoon, I received a phone call. I will never forget that call. Emily? Yes? This is Mercy Hospital. My stomach immediately tightened. Your mother has been admitted. My world stopped. I drove to the hospital as fast as I could. Every red light felt like an hour. Every second felt unbearable. When I finally arrived, she looked smaller than I remembered. She smiled when she saw me. You're late. Even then, she was trying to make me laugh. I sat beside her bed and held her hand. Neither of us spoke for a while. Mom, you're going to be okay. She looked away. That was when I realized she already knew something I didn't. Emily, promise me something. Anything. Be brave. Tears filled my eyes. Don't talk like that. She smiled. Just promise me. I promise. 3 weeks later, I buried my mother. The funeral passed like a blur. People hugged me. People offered condolences. I barely heard any of it. The house felt empty without her. Her favorite chair remained untouched. Her coffee mug still sat in the kitchen. Her reading glasses remained beside her bed. Everywhere I looked, I saw her. And everywhere I looked, she was gone. Then one rainy evening, something unexpected happened. I was cleaning her bedroom when I discovered a small wooden box hidden inside the closet. I had never seen it before. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a sealed envelope. My name was written on the front. And suddenly, my heart started racing. Because beneath the envelope was an old photograph. A photograph of my mother standing beside a man I had never seen before. On the back of the photo, someone had written 6 words. One day, she deserves the truth. I stared at those words for a very long time. Then I slowly opened the letter, and what I read inside changed everything I believed about my family. To be continued. My hands were shaking as I unfolded the letter. For a moment, I couldn't bring myself to read it. It felt like hearing my mother's voice one last time. Finally, I took a deep breath and began reading. My dearest Emily, if you are reading this letter, it means I am no longer with you. Tears immediately filled my eyes. There is something I wanted to tell you many times, but fear always stopped me. My heart started beating faster. The man in the photograph is not a stranger. I stopped reading. My eyes moved to the photograph again. His name is Michael, and he is your biological father. The letter slipped from my hands. That couldn't be true. My father had abandoned us when I was 8 years old, or at least that was what I had believed my entire life. I picked up the letter and continued reading. The man who raised you was not your real father. I never wanted you to hate anyone, so I carried this secret alone. Nothing made sense anymore. When I met Michael, we were very young. We loved each other deeply, but life separated us. I could almost hear my mother's voice. A misunderstanding destroyed everything, and before I could explain the truth, he disappeared from my life. I leaned forward. Years later, I discovered I was pregnant, and you were born. My chest felt heavy. I searched for Michael for years, but I never found him. Then I reached the final page of the letter. 3 months before my illness, I finally found him. My eyes widened. What? He never stopped looking for us. He never knew I was carrying his child. I could barely breathe. If you wish to meet him, his address is attached to this letter. A small piece of paper fell from the envelope. It contained an address in a town nearly 600 miles away. But there was one final sentence at the bottom of the letter. Emily, there is something important you must know before you meet him. My eyes moved to the final line, and my entire body froze. Michael has no idea who you are, and someone very close to him will do everything possible to keep you apart. At that moment, I realized my mother's secret was far bigger than I had imagined. The next morning, I packed my bags. I had one destination. I was finally going to meet the father I never knew existed, but I had no idea that someone was already waiting for me. The address remained in my hand for the entire journey. 600 miles. 27 years. One secret. My mother was gone, and somehow I was about to meet the father I never knew existed. The closer I got to the town, the faster my heart beat. I had imagined this moment 1,000 times. What would he look like? Would he recognize me? Would he even want to meet me? But none of those questions prepared me for what happened next. According to the address, Michael owned a small bookstore near the town square. When I arrived, I stayed across the street for almost 10 minutes. I was afraid to move. Then I saw him. My eyes immediately filled with tears. He looked older than the man in the photograph. His hair was gray. His face carried the weight of many years, but his eyes were exactly like mine. At that moment, I knew. He was my father. I slowly crossed the street. Every step felt heavier than the last. "Can I help you?" His voice was calm. My mouth suddenly felt dry. "Are you Michael Carter?" "Yes." My hands started shaking again. I think I'm your daughter." The color disappeared from his face. He looked at me. Then he looked again. "What did you say?" I handed him the photograph. Then I handed him my mother's letter. The moment he saw my mother's name, everything changed. His hands began trembling. Tears appeared in his eyes. "Sarah." That was the first time I had heard someone say my mother's name with so much love. For nearly an hour, neither of us stopped crying. We talked about my mother. We talked about the years we lost. We talked about everything. Then the front door suddenly opened. A woman walked inside. She looked about 30 years old. "Dad, She stopped speaking when she saw me. Her eyes moved from me to Michael. Then her expression changed completely. She wasn't surprised. She looked angry. "Who is she?" Michael took a deep breath. "Emma, this is your sister." "Sister?" My mother never mentioned another child. Emma stared at me for several seconds. Then she laughed, but there was nothing happy about that laugh. No, absolutely not. Michael looked confused. "Emma, do you know what happens now? She appears after 27 years, and suddenly she gets half of everything?" The room became silent. That was when I realized what my mother meant in her letter. Someone very close to Michael would do everything possible to keep us apart. and that someone was standing right in front of me. But Emma was hiding something too, something far darker than jealousy. I would discover the truth 3 days later, the truth that would expose a lie worth millions of dollars. And that lie had already destroyed one family.